We're about to pull back the curtain on something that influences you pretty much every single day, but you probably never even notice it. We're talking about the invisible conductor of our public spaces.
Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're wandering through a supermarket, maybe waiting in an airport lounge, and in the background, there it is. That soft, kind of sanitized, instrumental version of a pop song you vaguely recognize. Yeah, we all just call it elevator music, right? Or, Muzak. And most of the time, we just write it off as sonic wallpaper. It's just there. But what if that music isn't just filling the silence? What if it actually has a purpose? A purpose you've never even considered.
Because this stuff, it isn't just background noise. It's actually a precision-engineered tool. A tool carefully designed to influence your heartbeat, your walking pace, and, ultimately, your spending habits. So, to really get how this all works, we have to go back in time to its really surprising origins. See, this whole thing, it wasn't invented for shoppers. It was invented for the factory floor. Let's go back to the 1920s. I want you to meet an army general named George Squire. Now, he came up with an idea that had absolutely nothing to do with art or entertainment. His goal was pure, calculated, industrial efficiency. He actually patented his method and gave it this very sciencey name, stimulus progression. The entire point was to use carefully selected instrumental music to fight off what he called worker fatigue and, get more out of the workforce. And here's the really clever part. The music was programmed in these 15-minute blocks. A segment would start off nice and steady, but then the tempo and the volume would gradually creep up before a moment of complete strategic silence. This whole cycle was designed to fight that afternoon slump and literally wind up employees to keep them productive.
But as you can imagine, a tool this powerful for managing human behavior wasn't going to stay in the factory for long. The focus shifted from the worker to the consumer, and it found its new home in the aisles of the supermarket.
The big moment really came in 1982. There was this researcher, Ronald Milliman, and he decided to see if the same tricks that made factory workers more efficient could make shoppers, better shoppers.
So he ran this now famous study in a supermarket. On some days, he'd play really upbeat, fast-tempo music, and on other days, he'd switch it to slow-tempo music. Everything else was exactly the same. So what do you think happened?
And get this, the results were absolutely staggering. On the days with slow-tempo music, sales shot up by a whopping 38%. 38! It's because the slower music literally made people slow down their pace, browse more, and, you guessed it, buy more. The takeaway was crystal clear. Fast music gets us moving, but slow music gets us spending.
But hold on, because the science gets even more sophisticated. It turns out it's not just about the speed of the music. It's about the identity it creates. This is about building a literal soundtrack for your wallet. Just look at this famous wine experiment. When a store played that classic French accordion music, you know the sound, French wine outsold German wine by a ratio of 5-to-1. The music created a French vibe, and it subconsciously primed people to buy French.
But here's the real psychological kicker. When the researchers asked the shoppers about it afterwards, most of them didn't even remember hearing any music at all. Wild, right? The influence was almost completely subconscious.
This whole concept is called social priming. Just think about it for a second. When a store plays classical music, the space just instantly feels a little more upscale, right? A bit more luxurious. And that primes us to feel like we should spend more. And maybe we reach for a more expensive item without ever consciously knowing why we did it. So you can see this clear evolution. What started in the 1920s as a tool for industrial efficiency, it became a full-blown consumer science in the 80s. And today it's evolved into something else entirely. So let's talk about the modern audio architect. We've moved way beyond generic Muzak. Now companies are crafting a brand's entire sonic DNA.
Yeah, they call it audio architecture. It uses these complex algorithms to create a unique sound for a brand. The goal isn't just about tempo anymore. It's about curating and regulating the emotional states of every single person who walks through that door.
And the goals today are way more ambitious. It's not just about brand identity. This audio architecture is designed to be a sensory anchor in a crazy, overstimulated world. It wants to keep us in a state of unconscious shopping, and it can even make us lose track of time.
So let's bring this all back to you. The next time you're in a store and you find yourself humming along to some bland, forgettable tune while you're waiting in line, just take a second and really listen. Because you're not just hearing a song. You're part of a performance, and you are being conducted.
And that really just leaves us with one last big question to think about. Who's holding the baton?